Yeah. And you know, a lot of people are afraid to start because you hit something really hard here. Debt. A lot of people are in debt and they can't seem to move past that. I'm in debt, so I can't
Yeah.
move. They become, you know, what is that? The fight or flight, you know,
Fight or
but
flight. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they just freeze and they get so depressed. They don't even go to work to try to pay off the debt,
Because it
or
seems
they don't
unmanageable.
follow the dream. So you know, take us through that. So if you were to coach somebody and they have these great, wonderful dreams, because you are a great coach and you have a lot of great clients that you've taken to great places. That's why I love talking to you, and we've had some conversations about that. But you take somebody, because a lot of people have great ideas, but once again, they're frozen. Uh, you know, I would just love to say, let it go, let it go. But anyway, the thing is, how do you motivate them, or what kind of guidance do you give them to say, yeah, you're here. You're not the only one, but this is what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z. Because you can only
Yeah,
take small steps.
100%. So what I did was, and I actually, so the first thing I would do is I would set a strong 5-year vision for them. So what I mean by that, that's something that's to pull them. And then you have to feel the pain of where you're at currently. And your pain has to be to want to make a change. So what I would do with a lot of clients is like, they're like, oh, in 5 years, I want to buy a house. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'm like, that's great. But right now, we need to take inventory of where you're at currently. Because I realize you can't just go to someone and be like, hey, you have a lot of student loan debt. Let's just try to restart this. It doesn't work like that. You got to take it down and then work towards it.
Okay.
And what I
So
would
one
do,
is
yeah,
so the number one thing is take self inventory.
well, the first thing is you want to have a captivating vision. Then you got to take the self inventory. Because the reason for the captivating vision is it will help you go forward. The self inventory is exactly what you're getting at. That's part two. When you start taking the self inventory, you want to sit there and look at how much money am I bringing in? How much am I spending? And I remember so many clients where I'd meet them and they're like, I'm underwater every month. And then you would let's look at the credit card. It's scary. Let's look at the bank. It's scary. And you start to realize that they're spending over $1,000 a month. And these are like brand new students, just in the workforce, on like random clothes that they don't even wear, or like a car that's way too expensive for their income. And you would have like we would set up actionable steps, and like some of them would take them, some of them wouldn't, and some of them were like, oh, I can just out earn this. And it's like, no, it's not. Like the goal one is to pay off all the debt. Goal two is you want to start investing for your future so that you can build this nest egg, so that when the time does come, you go, I don't need this job anymore. I
But do you
don't
think
need
people
these things.
stop listening when you say you got to get out of self debt because they're too focused on that debt that they stop listening when you say, hey, what are we going to do? What plan are we going to make to get you out of debt? Because they can't see past how to do that, but yet they got a Starbucks in their hand. You know, they're smoking their cigarettes. They're spending about $500 to $600 just on coffee and cigarettes a month, and I'm lowballing that.
Of
But
course.
they don't want to make any sacrifices because they can't get past the. Do you see a lot of that? They just can't get past the I'm in debt.
Yeah. So, I mean, the big thing there is that you got to take them to the pain. Like, I had a coaching call this morning, and I was talking to her about how you have to get them in the pain. So, it's, hey, we're going to sit here right now. How do you feel about yourself right now? And they'll give you some answers. Oh, feel good, feel whatever. In 5 years, how do you think you will feel spending $1,000 a month on cigarettes and coffee when you could have paid off your debt? Like in 10 years, do you want your debt paid off, or do you want the cigarettes and coffee today? And you start to realize where the real pain is. And some of that, like I vividly remember my first client, it was a referral, it was one of my best friends, it was his friend. He goes, you got to talk to Jordan. This guy paid me $50. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do for him. So I said, hey, man, just send me over all of your information regarding debt, income, all that stuff. I'll do a little research. I'll figure out a plan. This guy had $100,000 in student loans. They
Wow.
had his minimum payment at like $100 a month. And the interest was over that. And I go, bro, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but with this situation, you need to pay more like $1,000 a month instead of this 100. And a lot of us think that the minimum payment is the minimum thing, but that's just so they keep you in the cycle forever. It's BS. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's how the Visa, MasterCard, all of these are some of the banks even. Like that is why they're so wealthy, is because they have these people in this debt spiral. And you have to get out of that by just raising your awareness and understanding, hey, I have to figure this out. And we did the math. If he paid $1,000 a month with his current interest rates, he would have finished in 10 years. So we're coming up on the 10 years in a few years now. And it's like, your life could be completely different. And then at that point, then you just start investing and now it's compounding. So instead of, people don't realize compound interest negatively, like on the debt side, scary. On the income, on the investing side, fun. Like it's
Yeah.
very freeing because it's the
Yeah,
same thing.
but everybody's caught up in this Bitcoin, but they don't have enough money for the Bitcoin. But there's ways to get in without a lot of money. But they're always looking for the quick fix. Like you said, $2,000 credit card. I'm making the minimum payment. What's that 2,000? When is that going to be paid off if I just make the minimum payment? And how much does it really cost me at the end?
For sure. So the big website that I go to is called, this is just for everyone listening. There's this website, if you just type in compound interest on Google, and you can do compound interest calculator. And that will show you investment interest, but you can look this all up online. Or if you guys want to schedule a call, I can definitely help. And pretty much what would happen is you're going to pay for, like the minimum payment on 2 grand is probably like $40 or $50. And they're charging like 30%, which is like $600 a year. So it's just going to keep going up and up and up. Like they're making sure that your minimum payment does not cover. And that's how you just have credit card debt for years and years, and it affects your credit. And it's all these things. But the big difference, Julia, I think the big difference here is short-term versus long-term thinking. A lot of these financial woes are very short-term focused. If we switch to a long-term vision of, oh my God, if I change the way I view myself, if I'm not someone who carries that, even because you have to change this image of yourself before you even start being that person. Like how many people have told you, I want to be a millionaire, and they only have $100 in their pocket. But then 10 years later, they're a millionaire, or 20 years later. It's because you have to decide who you are as a person. And the really scary thing, I think, for a lot of people, credit card, you kind of see it happen. These student loans are crazy because a lot of
Yeah.
these kids didn't take them their parents just said, hey, you can afford this school. You're going to have some debt. Some debt to some people is 3 grand. Some debt is 120 grand. It's a really stressful thing for a lot of people. I remember coming out of college and everyone sitting there going, how much do you have? How much do you have? And it was this unforeseen thing. Like no one knew. And that's what was so scary. So it's the more intentional you can get, the better understanding you can have will help you so much more.